You think you know someone. You share a home, a bed, a life. You know the little things, how they take their coffee, the silly song they hum when they're doing the dishes, the secret language of looks you share across a crowded room. For 8 years, I thought I knew Sarah. I built my world around her. Our marriage was my fortress, and I believed, with every fiber of my being, that she felt the same. But a fortress can be undermined from within, its strongest walls turned to dust by a single, careless word. It was a Saturday night. The kind of evening that felt plucked from a happier timeline. Our living room was warm, filled with the easy laughter of our closest friends. The air smelled of pizza and expensive craft beer. My best friend, Mark, was there, holding court on the couch as usual. Mark and I had been brothers since we were kids, navigating every awkward phase and life milestone together. He was the best man at our wedding. Sarah always said she loved how close we were. That night, she was in a particularly playful mood, her laughter a little brighter, her teasing a little sharper. We were all reminiscing about a disastrous camping trip from years ago, the kind of story that gets funnier with each retelling. Mark was ribbing me about how I'd forgotten the tent poles, and I was playing along, the hapless husband for the sake of a good punchline. Then Sarah leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with a mischief that, in hindsight, wasn't playful at all. It was razor sharp. She raised her glass, silencing the room with a gesture. You know, she said, her voice cutting through the laughter, if Alex ever forgets me on a trip, I'll just have to take Mark with me instead. She paused, letting the awkward chuckle ripple through the group before delivering the kill shot. I mean, I already know what it's like to sleep next to him. Might as well make it official. The room froze. It was as if someone had hit the mute button on the world. The smile on my face didn't just fade, it shattered. I could feel the blood draining from my head, a cold, hollow sensation spreading through my chest. All I could hear was the frantic thumping of my own heart. I looked at Mark. His face, usually so open and cheerful, was a mask of pure panic. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He stared into his beer bottle as if it held the secrets of the universe, his knuckles white. That was the confirmation. His silence was a scream. And Sarah? She was still smiling, a brittle, confused little smile. She looked around at our stunned friends, their laughter dead in their throats. Oh, come on, guys, she said, her voice suddenly small. It was a joke. From that one time we all crashed in the same room after Jake's wedding. Lighten up. But the damage was done. A joke isn't a joke when it's wrapped around a truth you've been hiding. It's a bomb. And the shrapnel had just torn through the very foundation of my life. The party ended shortly after that. The goodbyes were hushed, hurried, our friends practically fleeing the tension that now choked the house. The moment the door closed, leaving the two of us in the deafening silence, I turned to her. When? Alex, don't be ridiculous, she stammered, her earlier bravado completely gone. It was nothing. I told you, it was a joke. Mark's face wasn't a joke, I said, my voice terrifyingly calm. When did it happen? The story tumbled out of her in broken pieces, each one a fresh cut. It was a year ago. A conference she and Mark had both attended. A business dinner that had too many drinks. One stupid, meaningless night, she pleaded. It didn't mean anything. I love you. Meaningless. The word echoed in the hollow space she had created inside me. A meaningless act that had just obliterated 8 years of marriage. A meaningless betrayal with my best friend. The two people I trusted most in the world had, in a single, meaningless night, become collaborators in the destruction of everything I was. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I felt nothing. A profound, glacial nothingness. I just looked at the woman I had called my wife and saw a stranger. Get out, I said. Her protests were a distant noise. She cried, she begged, she said all the words you're supposed to say, but they were just sounds. The man who would have forgiven her was gone, dismantled by her one, public, arrogant joke. I walked to our bedroom, pulled a suitcase from the closet, and began mechanically filling it with her clothes. I placed it by the front door. "You can stay with your sister," I told her. "I'll have the rest of your things sent tomorrow." The look on her face was one of pure, uncomprehending shock. She truly hadn't believed it would come to this. She thought her charm, her tears, could erase what she had done. But some lines, once crossed, can never be uncrossed. The moment she left, the numbness began to recede, replaced by a cold, clear purpose. I didn't wallow. I didn't drink myself into a stupor. I went to my laptop, the blue glow of the screen the only light in the dark, silent house. I found the forms online. I filled them out with a steady hand. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Irreconcilable differences. Click. Print. The sound of the printer humming to life, spitting out the pages that would formally end my old life, was the most definitive sound I had ever heard. The next morning, I drove to the courthouse. I walked those cold, marble floors, the manila envelope feeling like a lead weight in my hand. When I handed the documents to the clerk, she gave me a perfunctory, pitying smile. I didn't need her pity. I felt a grim sense of finality. This wasn't an act of rage, it was an act of surgery. I was cutting out a cancer. I sent Mark a text. It was only 2 words. "We're done." Then I blocked his number. There were no screaming matches, no dramatic confrontations. He was already dead to me. The brother I thought I had was just a ghost, a memory I could no longer trust. The fallout was a storm I weathered from a place of quiet resolve. The frantic calls from mutual friends, the pleading voicemails from Sarah, the "can't you just work it out" lectures from family. They didn't understand. They hadn't been in that room. They hadn't seen the casual cruelty disguised as humor, the utter disrespect for our vows, for me, played out as a party trick. A month later, I was sitting in a stark, quiet apartment that was mine and mine alone. The silence was no longer deafening, it was peaceful. It was honest. There were no ghosts here, no lies hiding in the corners. I was starting from zero, from the ground up. The road ahead was daunting, a blank page. But as I sat there in that quiet, a profound truth settled over me. It wasn't the infidelity itself that had given me the strength to walk away. It was the joke. That public, flippant, unthinking reveal. It was the final, undeniable proof that the woman I married, the partnership I cherished, was already long gone. She hadn't just broken my trust in private, she had danced on the pieces in front of an audience. And in doing so, she handed me the one thing I needed most, the absolute, unshakable certainty that I was making the right choice. She didn't just break our marriage. She made leaving the easiest, and most necessary, decision I would ever make. And for that, in the strangest way possible, I will always be grateful.